A few weeks ago, I was feeling bored about how I talk about what I do. And so I hit up a couple of my friends to ask them if you could learn anything from me or describe like what it is that I teach you how to do. How would you describe it? And one of the things they said was mastering the cycles of death and rebirth as it applies to your business. And as a Scorpio stellium, I really loved that feedback. And it was a really cool reflection of like looking back at the trajectory of quitting my job to start my own business and all the different versions of myself and my business and the death and rebirth that I've been through and what I love to guide people through. So what I did in hearing that feedback was I decided to write down what the cycles were, and I wanted to share them with you. And the reason why I think these are important to understand is because it's easy when we hit that point of I need to burn everything down or I need to make this big change, and it feels really visceral and big and catastrophic and like it's the end of the world. And it is a death of some kind, but it's not the death of everything. It's just the death of a part of ourselves as a new version of ourselves or a thing that we've been asking for is starting to come forward. And the reason why I'm really passionate about normalizing that is that by learning how to have our power in that and that it's a normal cycle of death and rebirth just in our lives and in our business, we can learn how to really dance with these cycles and not be fully consumed by them or feeling like, I don't know, so alone in them or like there's something wrong with us as we navigate those deep and juicy waters. So the first stage in this cycle of death and rebirth in your business is desire. And the first stage of desire is you'll be looking out the window while you're riding in a car, or maybe you'll be in meditation or sitting with your cards, and all of a sudden it's as if this voice like finally comes through of a desire. And the desire is a new desire and it kind of freaks you out a little bit. And your reaction to that will range anywhere from like, oh, that would be crazy, to like, oh, that's crazy, put that back. And that'll be it for a while. It just kind of peeks through and says a thing, gives you like this really wild what if that's like totally outside of your realm of understanding. And then some time passes, you stop thinking about it. Then a little bit of time goes on, and then that voice will start to come through more and more and more. And as the voice comes through, you'll keep trying to either ignore it or like swipe left on it or like shove it down somewhere deep inside of you. And eventually it'll start to get so loud that you'll start to run in these loops of shame or anxiety about this thing that's coming forward that either feels like, how dare you desire that thing? Or I'm too afraid to say this thing out loud because if I admit I want it, I might not get it. Then after a little while of trying to make the desire go away, you'll either surrender or just kind of confront and make peace with this desire that you have, no matter how big or small. And then you'll finally admit to yourself and maybe someone else that thing that you want. And that's when you say it out loud. We all know that once we say something out loud, we know it's going to happen, right? Like it's going to come true at some point. The next thing that happens after you say it out loud is you'll start to take one step or several steps of like actionable motions to make that desire take shape. You'll have meetings, you'll change your website, you'll set up an offer, you'll have like a session about it. You'll take some kind of actionable step that will implement that into your business or this plane. After you take actionable steps, then something will happen. Either you'll take a couple of steps and you'll start to get some traction or even some momentum of moving towards the desire, and you'll get all these like pings of like, oh my God, yes, like I'm moving in the right direction. And then temptation will happen. A temptation will happen 1 to several times of presenting you with a scenario that will try to prove to you that you can't have what you desire. And the temptation is like a lure into your old pattern, your old way of thinking, your old thought loop. And it will be something that triggers something like, oh, this is why I can never have what I want, or the rug's getting pulled out from under me, or this is why I shouldn't have even like started in the first place. I'm condemned to be stuck this way forever. This is for other people, not for me, etc., etc. You can fill in the blank. And temptations can be one temptation or many temptations. And that temptation is a crossroads where you can either quit or give up, or you can continue working towards your desire and hold yourself through these ripples and the waves of trying to take you back to the old way of thinking. You'll continue to weave through these actionable steps and temptations until you make some progress, usually. And then what happens to me is a series of events that will trigger what I call a breakdown. And the breakdown can be easily confused for temptation, but it's actually not trying to trick you into the old way. It's literally hitting you from every direction all at once, so many times over and over, that it's not even just like you quit on your desire. It's like you quit on everything. It'll have you on your knees crying in the kitchen. It could be days of physical, spiritual, and emotional, just visceral reaction. And it will hit you, or it hits me from every direction in such intense ways that I just hit a breaking point where I'm just like, I tried so hard to hold my shit together for so long, I can't hold it anymore. I fucking surrender, dude. Like, white flag. Which, I already just said it, but the next stage is surrender. And surrender is, I notice that each time a stronger and bigger, more impactful desire comes through for me, the more intense the breakdown is for me right before the next stage, which is the breakthrough. It will hit you out of nowhere. The way you think that it will happen is not the way that it will necessarily happen. And all of the sudden, unexpectedly, and you kind of just went back to minding your own business during surrender, unexpectedly, your desire will become realized. And sometimes you won't even notice that it happened. It's just like you look around and you're like, holy shit, like, it happened. I didn't even notice. Like it became realized from like such like a 360-degree way around you that you almost just didn't even notice until you stopped and looked around. And then I don't know, it glitched. I'm glitching. It's a glitch. And then other times it will come through like so obviously, but it'll usually be in an unexpected way. And you'll be like, oh my gosh, this is magic. So you'll get all excited, you'll call whoever to celebrate, you'll bask in it. And then for me, it's usually like 48 hours to a week later, I will hit a contraction after my desire is realized. And that is what I call kind of the withdrawal process, as the old version of me takes a back seat. It feels like dying as that part of me kind of dies off of being in charge and then takes a back seat somewhere in my body or somewhere in my field. And it will have me in shame. It'll have me in imposter syndrome. It'll have me in second guessing myself. It'll happen after like all of a money contraction, when a bunch of money comes in, or after retreats or a vulnerable share. Just once I've achieved whatever the next level is, I'll also have a contraction at the end. And then after that, welcome to neutrality. This is the new level. This is the next level. And you just get to live here now until another desire pokes its head out and says, psst, psst, psst. This is the next thing. And you're going to go, oh, fuck no! Like, we already just did this whole cycle. I love sharing this process because when I first started out as a business owner, and even still when I go through these cycles, I get hit with all of these really intense mechanisms around how I'm an imposter, I'm not cut out for this, I should really quit, I'm going crazy, shame, like all of this shit. And it's actually this cycle that gifts me being able to hold and meet the part of myself that are asking to be held and met in order for me to break through to the other side. And I know how easy it is for temptations or our perception of the world around us to pull us backwards into old habits or someone else's reality. And one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about the work that I do is to show you that it's not true that you can't have what you want. You can have it. It just requires a little bit of dancing and holding in a different way than you're used to. I would love to hold you accountable into stepping into this next layer of desire for yourself. Soft Girl sessions are on sale through December, 60-minute sessions for $222. and you can book yours using the link in my bio.